a call out of the blue the day I resigned from my former job. In faith, God told me to resign from that job.
Wow.
I got a call 25 minutes after I resigned from Facebook asking me to take this job. And so I believe the assignment that God has given me is to raise awareness and to help people see that social technology is capable of more than just sharing posts about your upcoming events.
Undergirding Facebook's mission of giving its 2 billion members the power to build community and bring the world closer together.
Have you only been called to reach people for a sliver of time? Or have you been called to minister to people's lives? Facebook is the platform that can enable you to do that.
Who are the people that you're connecting with and what matters to them? It gives leaders visibility into what's happening within the flock that you're trying to shepherd, shifting the paradigm from church as building to church as community.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Life of Favor Television. I'm not your host. Normally, it's my dad, but I'm your host today. He's allowed me to use his set, so thanks, Dad. That's Bishop Stan, and I'm grateful to him to allow us to use this platform to introduce somebody I think is so incredible. She has such a great purpose. Her name is Nona Jones, and she's with me today. Nona, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is wonderful.
Absolutely. Well, Nona, let's get right into it because we don't have much time, but I want to just ask you to share with our audience about who you are briefly, and then how you came to be who you are. If you can get that in like, what, 2 minutes?
Sure.
Share with us.
So the question, who are you, is such a deep question.
It is.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try not to get that deep in
Sure.
the 2 minutes I have. But I serve as a head of global faith-based partnerships at Facebook.
Nice.
And I am also wife of Pastor Timothy Jones
Yes.
Jr.
Yes.
Senior, I'm sorry. I have a junior son who
okay.
is Timothy Jones Jr., but wife of Pastor Tim. So I'm First Lady of a church as well.
Wow.
I also have a teaching and preaching ministry. I'm also a business owner and a worship leader. And so I say all of that because the life that I live is just multifaceted.
Sure.
The way that it came to be, honestly, is just the grace of God. You know, I grew up in a very difficult household, experienced a lot of trauma and abuse as I grew up. But I look back on that and I see the hand of God because He was shaping me and molding me. And so the opportunity that I've been given now to lead the faith-based strategy for the largest social network in the world is just a testament to God's grace.
Sure.
And what I normally tell people is really my entire purpose, my mission is to equip the church to make disciples digitally, which is not how we normally think about discipleship.
Right. And historically, the church has led in fellowship and in community. So where do you think we are today, and how do you think we could do better, or if we're doing great, or because you mentioned digital discipleship, and that's a big point. So I want you to kind of unpack that.
Great question. So how are we doing today? So the state of the church, statistically, is the church is experiencing some significant challenges. And when I say the church, what I basically mean is what we normally think of as church, which is actual congregations of people going to a building.
Yeah, okay.
So to give you some numbers, there are about 250 million people in the United States that profess to be Christians. And GirlUp did a study where they found that about 40% of all Americans say that they're attending a church service every weekend, but actual attendance is only 20%. And 2 out of 3 churches are declining in physical attendance. And so it's interesting because I talk to a lot of pastors all over the world, and this is a phenomenon that is not just linked to any local community. It's literally a phenomenon happening all over the world.
Okay.
And so you marry the fact that physical attendance is either plateauing or declining with the fact that every month more than 30,000 people are searching Google using the phrase church online. So people are looking for a church online experience, but the state of the church is such that it hasn't really caught up to that digital community yet. And so that's why I'm here.
Well, and that's so necessary because there's also been studies about African American churches in particularly are like 20 years behind on technology and stuff like that. So I just know it's my context, so I can talk from that context. But why do you think we are slow going? Do you think that we're afraid of the technology, or we don't know how? Okay, how does streaming work? How does leaking streaming to Facebook work? And is it too expensive? Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's biblical. I mean, the Bible even says that we perish for lack of knowledge. It's not always that we are against technology, and by we, I'm talking about kind of the black church, the monolithic black church.
I got you, yeah.
But I think a lot of times people just don't know. And so I've talked with people, huge denominations. I'm talking about like Church of God in Christ, like large denominations. And they have had their eyes open to be like, wow, we never even knew that, these social platforms were capable of this. And so the mission that I believe I have, and I believe the assignment God specifically gave to me is, because I don't have a background in technology or social media. I literally got a call out of the blue the day I resigned from my former job. In faith, God told me to resign from that job. I got a call 25 minutes after I resigned from Facebook asking me to take this job. And so I believe the assignment that God has given me is to raise awareness and to help people see that social technology is capable of more than just sharing posts about your upcoming events.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let's just switch a little bit, and I want to ask you, what does the local church have in common with Silicon Valley, and in your case, Facebook?
Sure.
And are there any shared goals?
Yes. So let me first give the bigger, broader context of just faith in general. So there are many different types of faith traditions. Of course, there's Islam, there's Judaism, there's Baha'i, there's Buddhism. Christianity is the only faith that actually has an evangelistic worldview. And by that I mean Christianity is the only faith where we are actually called to make disciples. We are called to spread our faith. And so because of that, what we have in common with Silicon Valley is I believe that technology is designed and evolves in order to serve more people. And so the question that we always think about at Facebook is scale. We don't think in terms of tens or thousands. We think in terms of millions. How can we, help millions of people build community on our platform? And so I believe that that's what the church technically has in common with Silicon Valley, is that we have this call to serve as many people as possible.
That's fantastic. And do you think that, and I want to ask you this, do you think that with that shared goal, we should be doing more together? Like, I know you do, because you're ahead of it, right? And you're forging this, but like, what are some things that we can do together? What are some critical things that maybe not, it has to be on site or anything, but is there something that we can, the local church and Facebook can partner with in accomplishing shared goals?
Certainly. So I'll take a step back and first define the term technology.
Nice.
So it's funny, when we think of technology, we think of, internet, we think of, computers, we think of our cell phones, but the actual definition of technology is simply that which gives you the power to accomplish something.
Wow.
So technology doesn't have anything to do with wires or anything to do with what's happening in the cyber world.
Yeah.
It's something that gives you the ability to accomplish something else. And so I believe that the church can leverage technology by first being clear about why are we even here. We're not necessarily here just to have a 1 hour, 1.5 hour gathering of people on a Sunday morning. We are here to build the kingdom of God, which means we have to use every channel, every lever we have available to spread the good news of Jesus. And so I believe that what I would recommend churches do is first think about social technology different than broadcast technology. Facebook is not the news.
Right.
Facebook is social, right? The news is meant to be unidirectional.
Sure.
You share information, people hopefully receive it. What makes social technology different is you can have a conversation. You can actually get to know people. They can get to know you, and you can prompt action. And so I encourage churches to think differently about it.
Absolutely. And so do you think that with Facebook Facebook, Instagram, all these different social platforms, do you think that discipleship can be done thoroughly? There's a big, not an argument out there, but there's two camps of two schools of thought on this, that discipleship must be done a certain way. And I think that going in 2019, 2020, we've got to start looking at this, the Bible as a lens, to look through and see ways that we can still minister to people in different ways. Not changing the message, but maybe the method. So how do you think that digital discipleship will have long-lasting impact?
I love this question because To me, digital discipleship is just about getting back to the biblical model of discipleship, which is this. So today, the way the church defines discipleship is it's something that you do in a building. Like you have to come to a building at a certain time on a certain day. If you think about the life of Jesus, he discipled people wherever he was. He didn't tell people, wait until Sunday at 11 to come see me at the temple, right? He actually discipled people wherever he was. Digital tools give you the ability to minister to people wherever they may be, in their home, in another country, and you don't have to leave a physical space.
Right.
You can do it right through your phone.
Absolutely. And the community is much larger. I think that our church has, we've done okay with this. I think there's places, of course, where we can do better. But what I've learned is that Facebook groups we've used.
Yes.
And we create a Facebook group, and it's crazy. Like you can do a post, and I'll say this to anybody that's listening. If you do a post, regular generic post on your page, that's one thing. And you have to have some sort of, in my research, you have to have some sort of notoriety as a church to get those shares and to get those engagements. But when you post in your community as a group, our engagement on a post are like they shoot through the roof.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that people can utilize that. And I think there's a way, it's like even with bulletins and things like there's ways to communicate to people because you're hitting people where they are.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. So we've got 3 more minutes. So do you think, and I'm always asking you, do you think things, because I never have someone that works on Facebook at our studio. So I just want to pick your brain on this stuff. Where do you think the church, where are some opportunities for the church? Where are some places that we could take advantage of? And maybe I just named one with the groups, but.
So I'll actually build on what you just said,
great.
which is exactly that. So I like to give the metaphor of a house to describe how people should think about their Facebook presence. So your page is like your front porch. So it's the place that people can walk up to. They can kind of take you in on a superficial level. They can see what you're about. You share information about upcoming events. You maybe post the latest sermon series. You share, scriptures of the day. And people just consume that content and keep on moving.
Right.
But a group is like your living room. So it's the place that you invite people inside so that you can get to know them, they can get to know you, and more importantly, they can get to know each other. And so what I've been encouraging all churches to do is, in addition to your page, create at least one group, because that's the place where community can happen. Now, the good thing about groups is that you can actually create multiple groups and you can link them together based on the interests of your body. So let's say you have parents, you have women, you have youth. Perfect example, I was working with a church and they had a very large youth ministry. However, they were having a Bible study that a lot of the youth weren't coming to, like maybe 7 or 8 of them were coming. The youth pastor was really discouraged. And I said, why don't you create a group and go live in the group with the youth? And he said, there aren't any youth on Facebook. I said, trust me, do it. He went live in the group for their Bible study and 500 youth tuned in.
That's crazy.
And that's 500 from what he was seeing was like 8,
in
real life. And so I'm encouraging churches to leverage Facebook groups because that's the new dimension of ministry. And think of it like your online church campus. It's the place where ministry can happen.
I absolutely see that. And that's what I've been seeing. The engagement is way higher there because there's a sense of we're with you. And, I think it's like you're going to church. And we're actually working on live streaming in our group as well. So that's some really, really good information. I'm going to send this out here, but we're going to be right back with Nona Jones. If you don't know her, you need to know her. If you are a pastor, if you're a leader of any kind, you need to know and get to know her ministry and get to know everything that she does. I did not know that she did this much. So we maybe can talk about a little bit about that as well when we come back. But stay tuned. Keep your channel locked right here on The Life of Favor with Nona Jones. See you right back.
Undergirding Facebook's mission of giving its 2 billion members the power to build community and bring the world closer together.
Have you only been called to reach people for a sliver of time? Or have you been called to minister to people's lives? Facebook is the platform that can enable you to do that.
Who are the people that you're connecting with and what matters to them? It gives leaders visibility into what's happening within the flock that you're trying to shepherd, shifting the paradigm from church as building to church as community.
Well, hey, we're back with The Life of Favor. I'm Stan Jr., and I'm here with my amazing co-host today, Nona Jones. She does everything. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit. So your work-life balance. When we started the show, you told me you are a worship leader, you are first lady, you work for Facebook, okay, which is one of the #1 companies in the world right now. And you do speaking engagements, you do a lot. So how do you balance that and still have productivity?
Such a great question. So I think it's three things. One, it's grace. I believe that the grace of God is really what carries us through what we're assigned to do. But I have learned, and this is the second thing, wisdom, which is sometimes people will present you with opportunities that sound great, but they're not within what God has graced you for. And so you take it on and you have stress and frustration. And the reason for it is because God didn't grace you to do it. You just made that decision to do it. But then thirdly, and this is most important, is my husband. I mean, he is such a supporter and such an advocate. He is my life partner. There's no way I could do what I do if it wasn't for him. And I'm really having to learn what I'm calling strategic abandonment, which is there are things that I've put on my calendar that are optional. There are things I put on my calendar because I wanted to make somebody happy. And at the end of the day, it's not necessarily what I need to do. And so I've had to literally tell people, listen, I know I said yes, but I just can't do that right now. And I have a book coming out in January. And so I'm trying to get my manuscript done. So grace, wisdom, my husband. Those are the three keys for me.
Let's talk about the book a little bit. So what is the book going to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish with the book? What is it about? Tell me a little bit how that came about.
So it's amazing how it came about. I'm publishing with Zondervan, which is like one of the world's leading Christian publishers. So I'm so grateful for them. But it's my memoir. And so the book is talking about how my faith has really turned the trauma that I experienced as a child into triumph in my professional life. I have had so many incredible experiences. I've been an executive since I was 23 years old. So that's been like 13 years, almost my entire career. I've been at the executive level, and yet it was the trauma from my childhood, the abuse I experienced in my childhood, that really fueled the ambition that caused me to achieve so much so early. But God had to help me see that I needed healing. Even though I was successful on the outside, 40 under 40 Essence magazine, Florida Trend named me, one of Florida's 30-something All-Stars, all of this, but I was hurt and I was broken. Because there were some unresolved things in my life. And so the book is going to share my story, and it's also, more than sharing my story, going to help other people really deal with the pain of their past so they can actually rise from it.
That's right. I mean, we had Bible study last night, and Bishop said something so good. He said, whenever you see like a great pastor fall or these people fall, it's just undealt with situations that they never face. So that is such an important book to help people see themselves and deal with that stuff so that God can, promote them. I think that's awesome. So
thank you.
Anyway, but so because I'll go down there. Right?
We'll go down that path. I know.
I don't want to do that. But
we have to get the organist out here.
Exactly. So what are some baby steps? So I've been thinking, because we do a church conference here for 100 members and under, and we've got a lot of people that need to be needs met, I suppose. The needs need to be met, if I could say it like that.
Gotcha.
And so we've met a big need with having a free conference that for 100 members and under. What are some baby steps that small churches can make or take with social media, with digital discipleship? And if we haven't already went over them, but say them again if that's the case.
Certainly. Well, I will tell you, Facebook is the most powerful social network on planet Earth because there are more than 2 billion users. That's a quarter of the Earth's population. Right in the United States, 3 out of 4 Americans are on Facebook. And it's funny because when I talk to some pastors, they tell me, I'm not going to get on that thing. And I tell them, I'm like, well, if you knew that 75% of the people in your community were congregated in one part of town, do you mean to tell me you would not have a church there?
Right.
And of course, of course I would. And I'm like, that's what Facebook is. Like 75% of the people in your community are there. So the baby step is get on Facebook,
Yeah.
one, and two, get a page for your church. Again, that's your front porch.
Right.
Have a page for your church. And a page is where you can use Facebook Live to live stream your services. You can live stream your events. You can even have live stream Bible studies, and you don't have to go to a building to do that.
Right.
And then take it a step further by having that group, which is that community space. 40% of the people in our church group don't even live in our city. Like, they were invited to be a part of our group by family and friends who felt like they could benefit. So when you talk about extending the reach of your ministry, you can do it through Facebook, and that's powerful.
I think that's so amazing as well, because you're saying that you have this access to over 2 billion people, 3 billion people, some odd,
Yeah.
and it's free.
Yeah, it's
I
completely
think,
free.
I think that the people need to realize that this is an access to an amazing audience for free.
And let me tell you a actual personal example. So, I told you I'm a worship leader. I'm also a songwriter. I'm an artist and musician. And in 2014, God spoke to me to release an album. Mind you, I've never wanted to be like famous. I didn't want to like do anything, right? So I said, all right, Lord, I'll release this album. I had it professionally done, but I mean, it was like in my home studio with a producer. I did a little bit at a local studio. And I didn't spend $1 on Facebook ads. I just told people, hey, I have this album coming out. We'd love if you would support. My album debuted on the Billboard charts, 2 spots behind Donnie McClurkin. And that was all through Facebook. I never did an album release concert.
That's crazy.
I didn't spend $1 in Facebook ads. It was all through word of mouth. So people heard like a snippet, they started to share it with their friends, and they bought it. All through Facebook. So we talk about power.
I'm saying.
Yes.
And what I love about it is that if you have a good product, so let me just say this. I graduated from Flagler with a degree in marketing, and my teacher always told me, one of my favorite teachers, they told me, we do all this marketing out here to get to word of mouth.
Yes,
And
that's right.
Facebook has made something that kind of skips all of that.
That's exactly right, yeah.
And I think that's so important that we do everything, billboards, everything that you create and design is to get people to talk about your event to each other. So if you can skip all of that for free,
that's exactly
that's amazing.
right.
That's absolutely amazing. Well, statistics say, and I was just talking about this, that most churches are 100 members and under. And so how could a small church, like we said, take advantage of the media world? So number one, you said, get a page.
Yes.
Number two, get a group to invite people in your house, right?
Yeah.
So, and then in that group, what are some things that they can do in the group? And I know I'm just making this really small, but I really want some data sets of people that watch.
No, so tactically, there are a number of products and tools available in groups that you can use. So there's something called social learning units, which allows you to create sequential learning within groups, which is exactly what discipleship is. You can create modules. Like, let's say, you're doing a teaching on fasting. You can actually have, step 1. Here's how you create your plan for fasting. Step 2, here's how you can, fast and stay healthy. Step 3, here are some scriptures you can review. And people actually can take this learning sequentially. And you'll see on the back end who took the modules. So when it comes down to actually managing the discipleship, you can follow up with people. You can have your new member orientation all in the group. Just create the learning modules. People can take them, and they never have to leave their house. They never have to actually find time to come to a building. So there's modules. We also have polls, which are great. So you can actually ask people, like, hey, we're thinking about doing, a cruise for the married couples. If we did it, how many of you would come? And you can see how many people would come. So you don't have to plan something and then hope it works out. You can get the real-time feedback there. And you can do live in the groups, which is what I said to the youth pastor to do. So there are a lot of tools. There's something called get-togethers, where you can actually create events, lightweight events that you can invite people to, and they can get together offline from the group.
From the group. So yeah, that's absolutely. So we can meet at the Starbucks.
Exactly.
There, and then have it. That's fantastic. So, and I always ask this to my interviewees. What is your hope for the church? In your case, for the church, and for Facebook, and for this kind of mixing, which is a beautiful of Silicon Valley, and the churches around the world. And what do you think your hope is for that?
My hope for the church is that we would experience a paradigm shift. Right now, church is almost entirely defined by what happens on a day, at a time, at a location. But Jesus never defined the church as a place. The church has always been defined as a body of people. It's a community of people. Right. And so I'm really hoping to help the church shift our thinking away from, well, we can only have church if it's at a certain time on a certain day. It's like, no. We as individuals are the walking, talking, living, breathing embodiment of the church. Yes. We are the living epistle. Yeah. And so I hope that the work that I've done, the work that I continue to do, will just help to change minds. Because I believe that as we get out of this idea that the church is a place, I believe that more and more people are going to come into the knowledge of Christ.
I just want everyone I ever meet to at least get engaged with what you're doing and learn from you. And so I honor you and I thank God for you. And I also want people to connect with you. So how is there a way that they can connect with you, and just tell people how to get in touch with you?
Sure. The easiest way to get in touch with me is just on my website. It's nonajones.com. So it's just my name. Okay. And then people can follow me on Instagram is the best, because my Facebook is a mess. And by that, I mean I have so many people following me. But Instagram is the best way. You can reach me through direct message. My handle is at Nona, not Nora.
Nora,
Nona, not Nora.
Nora Jones.
Very simple, yes.
Nona, not Nora. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let me do a little bonus just before we leave. A little bonus question. So with and I know we did this big finish, right? But I do have one thing on my heart. With your church, how have you oh man, we got a few seconds. How has this worked for your church? Because I know someone's gonna say, she's up there, and I know she's a first lady. How is it working for you? And then we'll.
Oh yeah, no, it's working great, and I'm telling you, I'm evangelizing what I believe because I've seen it work. So I tell people to do it because I know it works. We have people in our groups who will never come to our building, but they're connected to our ministry because of Facebook.
That's fantastic. I just want you to know it. She's using it. Yes. She's not just dealing it. And I'm just so excited. I think that this has been so good, and I want you to come back on the show.
I would love
to. Just to talk. She's met everybody here at the studio, and we're just so happy to. So one of our let me just say this.
Oh Lord.
There's a banger here.
Oh,
one of our producers here said when she got here, and I think this is actually pretty good though. He said when she got here, he thought she was an old Caucasian lady.
Yeah.
Because she worked at Facebook.
Yep.
And I think that is a testament to what you're doing as well, that you are not that. And that you,
I'm not, in fact.
You are not that.
As it turns out, I'm not,
Yeah, and that is breaking so many barriers. And I know you've got to get some speaking engagements with talking to young African-American women about you can do this.
Yeah.
It's capable for
That's my heart, that's my passion, is just inspiring people to know what they're really capable of. And as long as you serve God and make him Lord of your life, he will do things that will blow your mind.
Absolutely. Well, this is Nona Jones. I'm Stan Jr., and we are on the Life of Favor broadcast. We'll see you later. God bless you, and stay tuned.